Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Diana Walter, and as we mentioned at the close of yesterday's show, today we're going to be discussing your future. Kathy Appel, who is the numerologist. Now, explain. We had a show on numerology several months ago. For those of our viewers that weren't watching, explain how numerology works, basically.
All right. The idea behind numerology is that when you come into the lifetime, when you come in and are born, you bring with you hereditary information, genetic information that's necessary, astrologically the time of birth to give you the outer influences, the lines in your hand. Numerologically, we get it through the name. So the vibration of the name, which carries its message of what your journey is, what your path is, and what your lessons are, on that first recorded data. In our country, we use the birth certificate. In other countries, they use the family Bible. Whatever it is, that first official entry is who and what you are through life, and from that we can get a reading.
It just seems
strange
like that.
As it seems.
Well, yeah, strange because you didn't have anything to do with that. I mean,
well,
of course, you didn't have to do with the day you're born either.
The interesting thing about this too is in the case of adopted children, one of the reasons why a child is searching for their roots is not only because of the fact that they want to know genetically who they are, but that name vibration. And I have had people who have been able to find the original birth certificate because whatever that says, even if it says baby girl, baby boy, that's an energy vibration. And when they have then been adopted, the adopted parents many times give them a name that has the same configuration of energy, only in different places. And that's fascinating.
Now, is it the whole name or just the first name?
No. The exact name, the exact spelling. And many people say, well, my birth certificate had a mistake on it. Right. No mistake. Had to be that. That's who you are, and you have to bring forth your essence.
My sister's had, I just saw her birth certificate the other day for some reason, but in any case, her name is Lorene, L-O-R-E-N-E. Well, on her birth certificate it's L-A-U-R-I-N-E, because that's the way my father wanted it to be spelled. Right. Or that's the way my mother wanted it to be spelled, and my father, without telling my mother, had it changed because he liked the other spelling. So, in other words,
but the original
is what would tell her about herself.
Exactly.
Ooh, fascinating.
Exactly.
And so people that go by nicknames all their lives.
A nickname will add another influence. It's either going to create a helpful situation or it's going to create more lessons to be learned. And many times people don't like their real name because there's a real lesson implied in it. They don't want to deal with it. And it's something, it's interesting to find that out too.
What about people who change their names?
When women get married, for instance, you have a definite change, not only because you're married, but because of the energy that you're picking up or that you're dealing with. And it's either going to help you in your life or it's going to be a detraction. It's going to create problems. And that's another interesting facet. There are all sorts of little facets that come into play. But you are what you were on that original birth certificate throughout the life. It's all there.
So you can change your name, or
you can change your
name. Go into this business where everybody has phony names.
And the other interesting, that's right. The other interesting thing is that no matter how much you might want to change a name, you cannot take a name that your soul will not accept. In other words, that's the primary qualification. You've got to have something that fits. And if you can't wear it, you won't be able to take a name no matter how well it sounds.
Okay.
The concept behind each one of these studies, in other words, they at one time were a science. They have fallen into disrepair and they've been taken up by people who want to use power many times, who are trying to sensationalize something, deal with people's fear. And actually what they were basic tools for self-discovery, each one of them. And when it's utilized in that respect, it's valuable, because that's what it's to do. Everything is to give us a greater sense of who and what we are, not do you have a lucky number? When I hear that, I just hit the roof, because every number has an energy behind it, and every planet has an energy behind it. But if they're used constructively as a basis for understanding yourself and what your abilities are, and then of course you have to be responsible. So what are you going to do with that energy?
So these are guidelines.
Absolutely.
They're not absolutes, and you don't necessarily read a horoscope in the paper that says don't travel today and cancel a trip.
I have one client who has, he has 3 things done on all of the people he's going to go into business with. And one is the numerology, another is astrology, and sometimes he uses, of course there aren't very many palmists around like Claudette, the tarot. All of them coming from a different angle, and of course that is another valuable tool which has fallen into disrepute. And you get a real total picture of your own foundation. And again, you're responsible. What are you going to do with it? That's where we are the captain of our own soul, or of our destiny.
Because
that's the beauty of all 3 of these disciplines. there is a pattern that we follow. It's not off the top of our head. It's a definite structure that has to be followed in order to get the information.
All right, let me.
And then an individual's role is to move beyond the block. That's where we have to learn to use the energy to our, as Pat has many times said to me, use the energy.
We're going to have all kinds of interest.
We have some birth dates from people right here, running cameras. And, all right, one date, we won't say who these belong to because we might be giving away secrets. November 19th, 1958.
The only thing I can give, because I'm dealing with the birth date, is the energy the person brought into the life, what they have, so to say, as the stock in hand, and what the life lesson is, and then I can talk just a brief bit about what the outside influence right now is. This is a person who comes into life with the whole lesson of his own intensity or her own intensity, dealing with power, dealing with organizing things, absolutely needing a goal and purpose in life. Without a goal and purpose, this person would feel as though they were just floating from one thing to the other, and they'd be very frustrated. So it's essential that the person learn to plug into the power and use it properly. They would deal with a lot of people in authority who they would feel were putting them into a bad spot. So there's this test of the will that they are dealing with. Great creativity, the first portion of life until the age of 28, and has to be used, has to be tapped into. Tremendous ability to express, and this should come out in a creative form. The challenge right now during these years is to the individuality. This person has to find out who they uniquely are rather than what other people want them to be, and to project that, because they are definitely, they have leadership qualities and they need to move into that capacity.
Okay. How about May 14th, 1954?
Numerologically, the individual comes into life with a tremendous ability to gain ideas. Ideas come so quickly that probably as a child there was difficulty holding the concepts, knowing what to do with them, so that there could have been some confusion. There could have also been situations where the person was very bright and had other people being very petty towards him or her, dealing with them and saying, well, jealousy, all kinds of things that they would have had to work around, but mainly coming to understand their own thoughts and communicating those thoughts. So again, this is communication, which is interesting because, of course, this is the field of communication that these people are involved with. Now, the first part of life would have been a very individual journey. This person has had to stand on their own feet in a certain way, either working early, making their own way when they would have liked to have had somebody to turn to. That person wasn't necessarily there. And now what they're dealing with for the rest of their life is a tremendous inner sense of, I have something to do that's important. There is a work I have to do, and I haven't found it yet. They have to be very careful with the idealism, that they don't become disheartened by things around them, but that they really plug into those ideals and do something with them.
This is really incredible, because I know both of those people, and it's I think they would agree. It's pretty right on. Is there a trend among employers to have readings done on potential employees for certain
positions? I do a lot of that for employers.
Yeah,
and it works out very well. And you can also get an idea of the type of employer the person is. When we see certain numbers, we can see whether that person really puts them under the gun and makes them conform to a certain image. You can see that very easily.
I'm sure a lot of employees would like to have them done on the employers before you decide whether to take a job at a certain company.
But what the energy is.
All right. I have two July 7ths. One is 1948 and one is 1960.
This, by the way, is one of the interesting things when you see two people who are born at the same time and you say, well, how can they be exactly the same? They have different names. Or two people who have the same names but are born on different dates.
Or born on the same date.
So you have all these little things that come in and add to the complexity of
I always wonder, because I was born on the same day as John Wayne, and I don't think we're very much alike at all.
Kathy, you could take the date July 7th and the year.
And get the number for that date, but I cannot take all of July in
understand that.
Right.
All right, we did have a July 25th, 43, and you all said, oh, what a wonderful thing to play with.
Numerologically, this person has come in with a tremendous amount of power that they have to use, they have to learn to use.
Because of all those sevens?
No, it's the combination of the numbers added together brought down to a final digit. But there is a powerful lesson of coming to terms with themselves with a greater order than just the structure that they're surrounded by. This person could be a procrastinator if they do not pull into the higher energy, which is taking ideas and concepts and doing something with it. Now, the one person on the station had to take the ideas and bring the ideas forth in communication. This person has to take their thoughts and ideas and make something in a structured way so they can see, feel, and touch it. So it's completing a project, finishing something up in a large way. And right now what they're dealing with in their life is a sense of family, sense of service, the things that they would like to do. But again, there is a restriction. There's somebody with a powerful ego or a sense that a job is keeping that person from really being what they want to be. And they have to tap into their individuality.
We've done a lot of Julys. What about January 24th, 1953?
January 24th, 1953. This is a person who would definitely have a scientific bent. I mean, if they haven't had the educational background, they certainly don't have a lack of thinking processes. In other words, they need to go and investigate what's in the library and deal with something where they can uncover something hidden. But they have a few little blocks along the way. There are certain things that they may feel there have been some humiliations or losses that they've had to experience during the first part of their life. And it is to bring them to a deeper sense of their own spirituality. There is a great sense that this person has, but they really have to come to terms with who they are. There may be a sense of loneliness, a sense of separateness, but again, it's to bring them to understand, who am I, and what would I like to do with my life, and to find some deeper meaning and then do something with it. There's a restless quality to this person, and they need to deal with that.
Is there a particular age or stage of your life when it's more advantageous to go visit the three of you and get readings, or is any time
Well,
fine?
you know, it's an odd thing with the numerology. I teach classes in it, and I have had a research group because I'd really like to find some more out about it other than what we know. And we have found that with children, we're working with this now in a school in the peninsula, and just from the birth date, understanding the energy of the person, because there are certain numbers that if that child is given encouragement, they will blossom and become magnificent people. But on the other hand, if they're told they're ugly or they're not capable or they're stupid, that is going to be the word that is going to send them in another direction. And just if we can take them at that point and to bring that understanding, again, knowing that this is just a foundation, this is just one aspect, but what can we do with these people? How can we help them? So at any stage, but it has to be when a person's questioning.
It's Kathy Appel, and she is teaching classes at the Minerva Bookstore in Palo Alto?
Right.
All right, and so...
That starts next Tuesday. I'll be beginning a beginning class.
All right.
It'll be a 6-week course.
Okay, a beginning class in numerology at the Minerva Bookstore in Palo Alto. Now, a couple of dates that we do want to get to was October 24th, 1936. This poor lady, we tried to get on the phone 16 times and she never did make it. So what can you tell her about that?
All right, numerologically, she's a lady, again, who has, this is another one who has come in to really deal with her own sense of power, authority. She needs a goal. She has to find something to do. She should not deal on self-recriminations and worry about what's happened in the past. What she needs to do is take the essence of every lesson and move it to understanding so that she can gain a better handle on her own life. She's felt a lot of loneliness, but she has a tremendous ability, again, to get in touch with herself. And as Pat has said before, we need to really bring this issue of the higher self and the lower self. In other words, we can't get caught in that littleness. We've got to move to a higher understanding that everything that's presented is for our growth and our learning. It's just, how do we react?
Yeah.
And that's what she has. So she has a great deal of power. She's restless, and she might jump from one thing to another. She might feel as though she has a struggle going on. But if she will just take the time to get in touch with herself and then to find something that she really likes, plug into it, she's got a tremendous capacity. This is a time of great change in the lady's life. Balance is the key.
Okay.
Always balance.
We have just a couple minutes left, so can we do some real quick on what I gave you a couple of dates. Kathy,
you gave me December 28th, 1950.
All right, let's do that one.
All
December
right.
20th, 1950.
A real individual. This person has to be a leader. They're a pioneer. They have come in to really do something with their own individuality. They may have resentment towards authority. They may resist other people telling them what to do. They should find a profession that they're working in where they're on their own, or they're able to have the autonomy of a leadership position. Right now, there's a lot of structure that they've had during the first part of life that they've felt that they've had to deal with. Maybe parents who have been religious or dogma or something, and they're very sensitive. It's a very sensitive individual who wants to express that. If they take it on themselves, they'll be touchy. If they use it to understand other people, terrific insight. From this little aspect that I see, this person could go into work as a psychologist.
All right, let me stop you there because we are nearly out of time. My thanks to the crew. My thanks to you for watching. Have a good day.